Did you know Crocalor is based on a god? Or what about the fact that Pecharaunt is based on a simple Pecha Berry? Or what about this? Houndstone could deal over 260 million damage in one attack. And those are just 3 facts of the 120 Paldean Pokemon that I'm going to cover in this video. So let's do this. Sprigatito. What Sprigatito needs as something soft, it releases a mesmerizing, powerful aroma that causes those around to lose their will to battle. And this is what it looks like. Florigato. Florigato is probably based on Puss in Boots, a famous fairy tale in Europe about a walking trickster cat who wears boots. Meowscarda. Meowscarda is now the fastest starter Pokemon, beating out even Greninja by exactly 1 base stat point in speed. Fuecoco. Fuecoco and its evolutions all sleep with one eye open, as seen in Pokemon Sleep. And this is a reference to real-life crocodiles who do the same, whereas theorized that they sleep with one brain hemisphere at a time, like this. Pretty wild. Crocalor. Crocalor is probably based on the ancient Egyptian crocodile god Sobek, which is a god that is often crowned with an oval-shaped ornament for when it acquires godhood of the sun. So basically, Crocalor is a god. Skeledirge. According to the official Scarlet and Violet website, the fiery bird that sits on Skeledirge's nose is the only reason why it's a ghost type. So technically without it, it would just be a pure fire type. Kinda like Typhlosion. Quaxly. Quaxly is the only starter Pokemon to have the origin from a different region, since its dex entry states that it migrated to Paldea from distant lands long ago. Quaxwell. Apparently Quaxwell always keeps a random supply of gel on it to fix its hair during battle, like this. Wapa! I wonder what kind of gel it has, because I could use it. Quaquaval. Quaquaval is a fierce rivalry with Tasserina, according to Tasserina's Violet dex entry. It's gotta be due to their kicking abilities. Well, that's punching, but you get it. You get what I mean. Lechonk. On April Fool's Day in 2023, Pokemon released a flying Lechonk, which is probably based on the expression, when pigs fly, meaning that this will probably never happen again, or just as a Pokemon. Oinkologne. The male Oinkolone's signature ability, Lingering Aroma, is probably based on the fact that only female pigs can smell the sex pheromone that male pigs emit. And fun fact, this pheromone is also found in truffles, which is why only female pigs are trained as truffle hogs. Tarantula. This is what Tarantula looks like underneath all the silky exterior. Look at it. It's like a little bug. Spidops. Spidops is probably based on Special Op Forces, since its design looks like it's wearing goggles and a bulletproof vest. Even its shiny version looks like its webs are red laser beams, like this. Boom, boom. So it's like dodging them or something, or emitting them for like aim assist. Nimble. Nimble can jump to a height of over 30 feet, which is 50 times its height, since it's only 8 inches tall. Lowkicks. As of right now, Lowkicks is the only bug dark type Pokemon, which is pretty crazy because I feel like bug and dark are like the perfect combination, since bugs are found in the dark and all, and they're also evil. And before we continue with the rest of the facts, this video is sponsored by the Epic Games Store. I know, I'm a big fan of Epic Games, so I'm honored. And a game that you should totally get by using the Epic Games Store, use a link down below by the way, is Genshin Impact, an open world action RPG game where you can explore the fantasy world of Teyvat, where you can switch between characters in your party, harness mystical elemental powers, solve puzzles, and of course, battle fierce enemies. And best of all, Genshin Impact is free to play, offering a vast, beautifully crafted world with rich storylines and exciting characters, accessible to everyone. And my particular favorite one is Milani. And speaking of Milani, she is actually a new character in the latest patch for Genshin Impact. And along with that, patch 5 has new quests and new massive rewards like free 5-star characters and free pools. So basically, not only do you get a free game by using the Epic Games Store by using a link down below, or this QR code right here, we also get free powerful stuff within that game to kickstart your journey. And if you use my bundle code EPICGENSHIN2024, you'll get even more free stuff, including 5 Heroes Wit, 5 Mystic Enhancement Ore, 30,000 Mora, 5 Glittering Gemstones, 5 Hot Spring O'Clock, and 5 Puff Pops. And what's awesome about the Epic Games Store is that you get 5% back at all game purchases. So when you buy a game that's $100, you get $5 back. So it's a win-win when you use the Epic Games Store. Oh, and did I mention that Genshin Impact is a new update to the Arching quest, meaning that both new players and return players can experience the new map and storyline as long as the Arching quest of Liu has been finished. So I'd recommend that. So download Genshin Impact today using the Epic Games Store link down below by using my link or this QR code right here. And shout out to the Epic Games Store for sponsoring this video. Really appreciate it, guys. And back to the facts. Pawmi. Pawmi is the first Pika clone that is able to evolve since Pichu over 20 years ago. That's pretty wild. Another fun fact is that Pawmi is tied with Cleffa and Greavard for having the shortest Japanese name, with it being Pamo, having only 2 kana. And if you were curious, Cleffa's Japanese name is Pai and Greavard is Bochi. Pamo. Pomo is the shortest fighting type Pokemon, measuring in at 2 feet 11 inches. And for context, this is what it looks like standing next to the tallest fighting Pokemon on 2 legs. So I wonder how they would box. Palmot. Palmot is one of only 2 Pokemon that gets the move Revival Blessing. This is based on Palmot's ability of discharging electricity from its hands, like this. Clear, boom. So they're like basically defibrillators hands. Tandemos. Tandemos is the only Pokemon that skips the evolution animation when evolving, and try to guess why. So there's like 2 of them, then like 3 or 4 spawn afterwards, so I wonder what's happening here. Mosshold. For some reason, the family of 3 Mosshold is coded as the primary form, even though it's 100 times rarer than the family of 4 Mosshold. So I guess in the canonicity of Pokemon, the family of 3 Mosshold is the common Mosshold or something. Fidough. Fido's Japanese name is Puppy Mochi, which is pretty cute, but not as cute as my dog. My dog's cuter. Right, Duncan? Dushbun. Dushbun's design is based on a pun, as it's a purebred, based on purebred dogs. Get it? It's bread, but it's like a purebred. You know, it's like that purebred. Smoliv. Smoliv being introduced as the first olive Pokemon in Paldea is actually really fitting, since Spain is the world's main provider of olives and olive oils. So you couldn't cook without that stuff. That stuff brings a flavor. Dolliv. Dolliv canonically abandons their trainers, since according to their Dex entry, it leaves human settlement to go on its own journey when it gets enough sunlight. So it's basically a 10-year-old going on a Pokemon journey as a Pokemon to go get caught by a trainer that's 10 years old. Arboliva. In the new Pokemon Horizons anime, Arboliva is one of the 6 heroic Pokemon, which are Pokemon that once belonged to Lucius, an ancient adventurer of legend. And if you're wondering, the other 5 are Shiny Rayquaza, Galarian Moltres, Lapras, Kleavor, and an Entei. Squawkabilly. Tigaton preying on Corviknight is probably the main reason why Squawkabilly are used for text services in Paldea, which is pretty funny. Knackle. Knackle's name is based on the chemical formula for salt, with Na being the atomic abbreviation for sodium and Cl for chlorine, which together is sodium chloride. Knackle Stack. Canonically, Knackle Stack's signature move, Salt Cure, is super effective against water and steel-type Pokemon, since its Dex entry states that it seals away the water in the prey's body and that it can penetrate an iron sheet. So basically the games are wrong. Garganackle. I love saying that name. Garganackle. Garganackle's signature ability, Purifying Salt, is based on the belief in Japan that salt can be used to ward off evil spirits, which is why it only takes half damage from ghost-type Pokemon. Also, its immunity to status conditions is likely based on how salt was used to protect against diseases during ancient times. Charcadet. Charcadet is the only Pokemon with Virgin-exclusive branched evolutions, which is pretty surprising after 25 years of Pokemon. We would have thought we would have seen this in like Generation 2 or something with like Tyrogue, like Hitmonlee and Chan or something, I don't know. Armarouge. Whenever Armarouge uses its signature ability, Armor Cannon, it fires off pieces of his own armor, which is why defense falls after using it. Ceruledge. Ceruledge's blades are made from the lingering regret and grudges of a deceased swordsman who died before finishing his goal. So technically Ceruledge is part human, or even a ghost of a human, or something like that. Tadbulb. Besides Pokemon that had their evolution method changed, Tadbulb is the first Pokemon in over 10 years to evolve with a Thunderstone, the last Pokemon being Electric. Bellibolt. Bellibolt's false eyes are actually organs that generate electricity, which is based on the Kuyaba dwarf frog, a frog that also has false eyes that produce poison. So thank God actually electricity's worse than poison, so yeah, Bellibolt's kind of terrifying. Wattrel. Even though Wattrel can't learn the moves Surf or Dive, it has a trading card where it depicts it doing those 2 exact moves, so what gives? This card is a liar. Yeah, that thing. Kilowattrel. It is theorized that Kilowattrel is based on Ash's Swallow using the move Thunder Armor. Yeah, I can see it. They kind of look like Swallow and Talo or something. Yeah. Mastiff. Mastiff's Dex entry talks about how his thick fat makes for an excellent defense. But the thing is, it doesn't get the ability thick fat, so the Dex entry is also a liar. Yeah, I like doing that. Mabostiff. Arvid's Mabostiff is the only Pokemon in the entirety of the video games to have a disease that wasn't curable by potions or the Pokemon Center. And that's saying a lot. Kind of reminds me of Goku's unknown heart problem from Dragon Ball Z. Strudel. Strudel's body shape might be a reference to the graffiti "Kilroy was here," which became popular during World War II. Grafaiai. Grafaiai is known to bark trees in Tag Tree Thicket in Paldea, an area inspired by the Oma Forest, where an artist, Augustin Abarola, famously painted trees. So yeah, this place that is painted everywhere is based on a real-life place that was painted by this famous artist. It looks pretty beautiful, I like it. Bramblin. Bramblin's cry is based on the whistling sound from the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just listen. That does sound like that. Brambleghast. Outbreaks of volatile Brambleghast can cause towns to be buried, according to his dex entry, which might mean there are several buried towns in the Paldea region that we don't even know about. I guess it's fitting for a ghost type. Toadschool. Toadschool continues the pattern of every odd-numbered generation introducing a mushroom-based Pokemon that can learn the move Spore, with the previous Pokemon being the Paris line in Generation 1, the Trubbish line in Generation 3, the Fungus line in Generation 5, and the Morlul line in Generation 7. Toadscruel. The internal game data for Scarlet and Violet has certain lines of code that refers to Toadschool as Okokingu, and Toadscruel as Okegyaradosu, which might mean that originally Magikarp and Gyarados were meant to have convergent forms. Cloth. Cloth is probably based on this old meme from E3 2006. Just watch.
Genji 2 is an action game which is based on Japanese history. The stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab.
Yeah, that's a giant crab. Capsicid. Capsicid's teeth are used for spicy dishes, according to his dex entry. So, yeah, that's pretty disgusting. Skullvillain. According to Skullvillain's dex entry, its red pepperhead is the one that breathes fire made from spicy chemicals, while these same chemicals cause the green head to go crazy. So basically we have a canonical crazy Pokemon. This Pokemon, well, this head is canonically crazy. Like, look at him. That's some crazy Pokemon there. Rellor. Shiny Rellor's dung ball becomes a nugget, which is absolutely amazing. Like a golden poop. Right there. I love pointing at the screen now. This is cool to do. Rapska. It is theorized that the infant inside Rapska's ball is Rapska's true form, which kind of reminds me of Gygus from Mother 2. Flittle. Flittl's shiny form hints that his true body might be underneath the yellow exterior, as the color of the cloth-like shell doesn't change. Espathra. Espathra's dex entry states that it runs up to 120 miles per hour, while speed stat is 105. But for comparison, Dodrio's dex entry states that it runs up to 40 miles per hour, while speed stat is 110, which is 5 points faster than Espathra, while being 60 miles per hour less faster than Espathra. So it makes absolutely no sense, what I'm trying to say. Tigaton. Tigaton's hammer is often stolen and eaten by larger Pokemon that eat metal, which are probably mostly steel-type Pokemon. So maybe this is why Tigaton evolves into a Pokemon that hunts steel types, is because they ate his baby hammer and it wants revenge. Tinkatuff. Tinkatuff's hammer is made out of deceased Pawniard and Bisharp, since according to his dex entry, it hunts them to gather their metal, which is pretty morbid, but so cute, just look at it. Tigaton. Tigaton repairs his hammer with scraps from fallen Corviknight that it has attacked, since they are his #1 prey. And it's even stated in Corviknight's dex entry that it can't serve as a taxi service in Paldea due to natural predators always attacking it, which is Tigaton. So that's pretty funny, and it probably looks like this meme right here. Yeah, that's hilarious. Wiglet. Wiglet can learn Helping Hand, meaning that it has hands somewhere. Wugtrio. Unlike for other trio Pokemon like Dugtrio and Magneton, Wugtrio's weight is exactly 3 times that of a Wiglet, making them the only one that makes actual sense. But does it make sense though? Because what about that giant rock right there? Wouldn't that like add weight to them somehow? Bombardier. Bombardier is actually not the first stork Pokemon that Game Freak has created, because in Generation 2, there was a scrap Pokemon that looked like this. And it was based on the myth that storks deliver babies, which is really cute. Finizen. According to Drygold's dex entry, Finizen are its main prey. And according to Barraskewda's dex entry, Finizen competes with Barraskewda for hunting food. So it's safe to say that Finizen has a rough time making friends in the fishy Pokemon world. Palafin. Palafin has several references to comic book superheroes. For example, it evolving level 38 is likely a nod to the year that Superman was debuted, which was 1938. Or its ability Zero to Hero could be referenced to the song Zero to Hero from the Disney movie Hercules. You know, when they sing Zero to Hero. Even its entire design seems to be based on Nightwing from the DC universe. So I wonder what other references it must have. Must probably has a lot more than that. Let me know down below in the comments. Right there. Varoom. Varoom and its evolution are the only poison type Pokemon to be immune to their own type, since they are part steel. Reveroom. Reveroom, having access to the moves Taunt, Swagger, Uproar, Parting Shot, and Torment, may be referenced to Road Rage. This is based on a car. Cyclizar. In the same way that people customize their motorcycles, students in Paldea customize their Cyclizar with riding equipment, as seen in this Pokemon card. Orthworm. Orthworm has tendrils that it wields that look like fists, and here's what they look like. This has to be a reference to Wiggler from Mario. Like, just the comparison is uncanny. I can't even tell which one's which, actually. Glimmet. In order to make the TM for the move Terra Blast, you need to obtain 8 Glimmet crystals, which implies that Glimmet have some kind of connection to terrestrialization. They're even found in Area 0, where terrestrialization comes from, so I wonder what connection they have. Glimora. Glimora is probably based on the Passiflora Cerulea, which is a Southern American native plant that was introduced in Spain and now grows there in the wild. So that may imply that Glimora and terrestrialization as a whole come from a different region, and they were artificially inserted in Paldea in Area 0. So that could be why. Greavard. Greavard's introduction video on the official Pokemon YouTube channel shows it draining the life force of the student who's filming it, and the student ends up fainting, or even worse, which is pretty messed up. Houndstone. Houndstone has been banned from online tournaments because of his signature move, Last Respects, being way too overpowered. Since it can reach up to 300 base power without buffs, and the fact that it can literally deal up to 260 million damage under the right conditions, which will probably never happen in a real battle, but you can still do that, which is a lot. Flamigo. Flamigo's name is based on flamingo and amigo, as like a friend. So that's why it's called Flamigo. It's your amigo. Saytotl. Saytotl is related to Welmer, according to his dex entry. Saytitan. Saytitan's Japanese name is Holku Ira, which is a combination of the words Hulk, Arku, Kajira, and Hakujira, which means the superhero Hulk, to walk, whale, or tooth whale. So technically you'd call Saytitan an Iceland walking tooth whaled version of the Hulk. Veluza. Veluza is known to discard his flesh in order to boost agility and powers. And weirdly enough, this discarded flesh is considered a delicacy in Paldea. And if you were curious, this is what Veluza looks like after it discards its flesh. The skinless Pokemon, people, right there. Dondozo. According to his official artwork, Dondozo's tongue is shaped like a sushi platter for when it swallows Tatsugiri. Tatsugiri. Tatsugiri is one of the 5 titans in Scarlet and Violet and is known as the False Dragon Titan, even though it's literally a dragon type, which makes no sense unless Tatsugiri is tricking all of us thinking it's a dragon type, since it's also known as one of the smartest dragon Pokemon, according to his dex entry. Annihilape. Annihilape is the newest evolution for a Generation 1 Pokemon since Sylveon from over 10 years ago, and it's possible this evolution is based on Primate's Sun dex entry, where it states that it has been known to become so angry that it dies as a result. Pretty cool callback. Clodsire. The Japanese name for Clodsire is Do, kind of like what Homer Simpson says. Faragiraffe. Faragiraffe's only appearance in the anime so far is on the front of the cover magazine called Occulture, where it's shooting a twin beam from its face, like this. Dunsparce. Dunsparce can learn every type of move, except for the fairy type, which is pretty ironic since this whole concept is based on a fairy tale-like legend. Kingambit. Kingambit is based on the chess opening, the King's Gambit, which is when the player plays pawn f4, sacrificing their own piece to gain momentum towards the middle of the board. So it's entirely probable that Kingambit is known to sacrifice Bisharp in a massive battle. Great Tusk. Great Tusk is canonically unalive someone, because on the official Scarlet and Violet website, it says that the savage monster attacked an expedition team with its large body and tusks, mortally wounding one of the explorers. Screamtail. Screamtail apparently existed over 1 billion years ago. And to give this some perspective, the oldest fossil Pokemon that's been recorded so far is Kabuto at 300 million years ago. So yeah, that really dates Pokemon even further back. That's like 700 million more years than Kabuto. Brute Bonnet. Brute Bonnet is apparently a cross between a dinosaur and a mushroom, which is pretty weird because it can only learn one Dragon-type move via TM, which is outrage if Dragon-type Pokemon are like the dinosaurs of the Pokemon world. Or that dinosaur just existed in the Pokemon world, and yeah, that Brute Bonnet is one of them. Dinosaur Pokemon right there. Fluttermane. Fluttermane is considered to be an SS tier Pokemon in the competitive game, and to put it simply on why, it has amazing stats, it has the best type combination that you could probably get, which is Fairy and Ghost. It has the best move pool that you would ever possibly need with this Pokemon, and has one of the best abilities, Photosynthesis. So yeah, this Pokemon is just like a straight up cheat code in the metagame. Slitherwing. Slitherwing is the only natural bug-type Pokemon that is a quadruped. Yeah, you heard that right. There is no other bug-type Pokemon that sits on all fours. Well, except for Arceus and Silvally, if you want to count them, but they're not really bugs. Sandy Shocks. Apparently, Sandy Shocks is a Magneton that has reached the age of 10,000 years, according to his Paranormal magazine. So I guess when a Manatone doesn't evolve and lives for 10,000 years, it will gain the ground typing and look like this, which is pretty interesting actually. Iron Treads. Iron Treads apparently resembles an alien scientific weapon, according to his dex entry. Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle is the longest Japanese Pokemon name, with it being Tetsu no Susumi. Yeah, that's the best I could do, but it's that's the longest Japanese Pokemon name that exists right now. Iron Hands. Iron Hands is probably based on the sci-fi movie The $6 Million Man, where an injured athlete is transformed into a cyborg after a freak accident. Since its dex entry mentions that this cyborg was a modified form of a certain athlete, so it's entirely possible that this Pokemon was once a human as well. Iron Jugulis. The word Jugulis from Iron Jugulis' name comes from the Latin word for throat, or neck, which is jugular. So technically this Pokemon's name is Iron Throat, which sounds a lot cooler, I feel like. Iron Moth. With the inclusion of Iron Moth and Slitherwing, there are now 8 Moth Pokemon that exist in the Pokemon world, with it being Venomoth, Dustox, Masquerain, Mothim, Volcarona, Frostmoth, Slitherwing, and Iron Moth. So you can basically have a full team of Moth Pokemon if you're a Moth kind of guy or gal. Iron Thorns. Iron Thorns is most likely inspired by the Mecha Tyranitar from Pokestar Studios, which means that this movie predicted what Tyranitar would look like 1 billion years into the future. Or like it caused a paradox and created this Pokemon. Either way, Pokestar Studios is responsible for this. Frigibax. Frigibax and its evolutions are based on the Concavenator dinosaur, a theropod dinosaur discovered in Las Hoyas fossil site of Spain. So on top of being a pseudo-legendary Pokemon, these Pokemon could very well be fossil Pokemon too. Arctibax. Arctibax evolves to Baxcalibur at level 54, which is probably a reference to the year that the first Godzilla movie was released, which was 1954. Excalibur. Excalibur is based on Godzilla, which is where its attack animation comes from, because this is Godzilla's attack animation and Excalibur's. Gimmighoul. It is impossible to flee from a wild Gimmighoul in Scarlet and Violet. Goldango. Despite its Japanese name being Surfugo, its Pokédex image, its ability to create a surfboard while traversing water, and its walking animation, you see that? Despite all of that, Goldango can't learn the move Surf, which makes no sense, especially when a Pokemon like Tauros can, or even Tyranitar. Wushin. Live Wushin reaction. The Chinese-inspired naming for the treasures of ruin Pokemon actually have meaning. For Wushin, Wu means snail, and Shin means bamboo slips. And if you're wondering, Xin Pao is sword leopard, Ting Lu is cauldron deer, and Shi Yu is goldfish jade. Xin Pao. Xin Pao is one of only 2 natural ice-type Pokemon that cannot learn the move Ice Beam, with the other one being Snob, which is pathetic. Like, come on, guys. Ting Lu. Ting Lu was the first Treasures of Ruin Pokemon that made an appearance in the official VGC game. And funny enough, the first move the player used with this Pokemon was Fissure, and it actually landed, making this Pokemon pretty infamous in the VGC. Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu and the other Treasures of Ruin Pokemon are based on the 4 perils of Chinese mythology, with Chi-Yu specifically based on Hundin, which is the faceless embodiment of chaos and confusion. Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon is confirmed to be connected to Salamence's Megaform, but I wonder how. Maybe a Mega Salamence slipped into our universe and became this thing, creating this paradox thing. I don't know. Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant's first name is Garde Fur, which is pretty clever because it sounds like the name Gardevoir, and it literally translates to Iron Guard. Koraidon. Even though Koraidon's whole gimmick is to transport the player across the region, it can't learn the moves Fly or Surf, which makes absolutely no sense because I've seen it literally do it. It's doing it right here. Miraidon. Miraidon has a robotic tongue, as seen in the Adventures manga. Walking Wake. Walking Wake's existence, along with Raging Bolt and Gouging Fire, could suggest that there's an ancient paradox Ho-Oh Pokemon who created them. I wonder what it would look like. I don't know. Iron Leaves. Despite the fact that Iron Leaves is a part Psychic type, it can only ever learn one damaging move that will get stabbed with the move being signature move Psy Blade. And that's literally it. Dipplin. Dipplin is actually 2 worms instead of just 1, and the head worm is apparently called the foreworm, while the rear worm is called the core worm. Poltergeist. Poltergeist is the shortest grass-type Pokemon, and it's tied for being the shortest Pokemon we know so far, with the other Pokemon being Joltik, Flabebe, Cutiefly, Comfey, Cosmoem, Sinistea, and Gimmighoul, who are all 0.1 meters. Sinatcha. It is possible to print a Masterpiece teacup item from the item printer. And what's funny is that Sinatcha's Daisuji states that this teacup was made from a potter of great renown, when in reality it was made by some random school's 3D printer by me. So I guess we're a renowned potter in the Pokemon games. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, along with the other members of the level 3 and Pecharaunt, learn all their moves at levels of intervals of 8. And if you didn't know, the number 8 is considered lucky in Japan, since the shape of the kanji looks like it's spreading wide towards the future, symbolizing prosperity. Like this. Monkey Dory. In the lore of the Loyal 3, Monkey Dory was once a clumsy, dim-witted Pokemon. But after meeting the mythical Pokemon Pecharaunt, it was blessed with enhanced capabilities. And this is what the Loyal 3 looked like before they became legendary Pokemon. So, kind of similar to the Johto legendary beasts, which is pretty cool. Pheasantipede. Despite Pheasantipede looking very feminine, it is actually 100% male, which is probably based on male kabuki performers from the Edo period of Japan, since during that time, women were not socially accepted to perform on stage. So, men would take on the female role as well, like that. Ogerpon. Kieran will react to you if you sit down an Ogerpon during their champion battle. He will say, "How dare you bring the ogre out now of all times?" Since Kira was Ogerpon's biggest fan, but it chose the player as his trainer over him, so basically, this is a giant troll to do in the battle. Archaludon. Archaludon is technically a pseudo-legendary Pokemon, but at the same time, it's kinda not, because up until this Pokemon, all pseudo-legendaries had a base total of 600, which does them the 600 Club. But now that trend has been ruined by this stupid guy, this stupid Pokemon. How dare you ruin it? Hydrapple. Hydrapple and Dripplin are the only evolutionary relatives released in the same region that are not next to one another in the Pokédex, since Dripplin was released in the first half of the DLC, while Hydrapple was released in the second half, which is pretty weird, I'm not gonna lie. Gouging Fire. Gouging Fire's headdress kind of looks like the Rainbow Wing item Ho-Oh drops, so maybe this is a glimpse of what the wings of a Paradox Ho-Oh would look like. Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt's signature move, Thunderclap, is the same name as the category of Zeraora, the Thunderclap Pokemon. But if Zeraora is the Thunderclap Pokemon, shouldn't it know the move Thunderclap? That also makes no sense. Iron Boulder. Iron Boulder is the only Rock-type Pokemon that cannot learn the move Rock Slide. Very pathetic. You. Yeah, I'm looking at you. What are you gonna do? Rock Slide me? You can't. Iron Crown. There was a sketch of an imaginary Pokemon found in the Violet book before the release of Iron Crown, which kind of looks like a fusion of all the Swords of Justice Pokemon. Terrapagos. If you slow down Terrapagos' cry, you can hear the first notes of the Area Zero theme. Just listen. Yeah, I think I heard that. And this is also the same sound that you hear whenever you terrestrialize a Pokemon as well. And finally, for the last Pokemon, we have Pecharaunt. And this fact is pretty simple. Pecharaunt is based on the Pecha Berry, which is pretty cool. I like that. And check out my one fact for every Kanto Pokemon video right here. I think you'll like it.